Hello, great to be here. I love Portugal. I've come to Portugal multiple times every year for quite a long time now. I think my first main trip here was in 2002, when things were kind of new in the Douro. The Douro table wine revolution was quite new, and there's something very compelling about Portugal and its wines. So wine, I mean, really wine is the canary in the coal mine of agriculture and global warming. You know, this idea that wine grapes are exquisitely sensitive to climatic change. And when it comes to quality wine production, you know, small changes in climate can have quite significant effects. So we should be concerned about the climate. And if we're serious about taking action, an urgent action on climate change and carbon dioxide reduction, then as a wine industry, we need to get our house in order. And quite simply, wineries need to be carbon zero. And wineries are power hungry. You need a lot of power for cooling during fermentation, for cold stabilization, cooling of barrel cellars, and even in some of the wineries in New Zealand now to preserve some of the polyfunctional thiols, 3-MHA in particular, which is very sensitive to hydrolysis. The wines are being kept for extended periods at 4 degrees centigrade, and they're using a lot of power in order to preserve quality. Then, of course, we've got the release of carbon dioxide during fermentation, which is a huge issue that I think is not really covered strongly enough. And we've got water use, and the big problem with wineries is they're only used once a year for a few weeks. So if you're going to come up with a solution, then effectively you're paying a lot of money for something that's going to be used for only a short period. So to address these challenges, we're really privileged to have Roger Bolton, who's not yet an emeritus professor, from the University of California, Davis. Now, Roger is well known to most of you, I'm sure, but he got his PhD in chemical engineering back in 1976 in Melbourne. And since then, he's been working at the University of California, Davis, which explains his strange accent. But Roger has practical experience, which I think is very relevant to anybody here who's connected with wineries. He was involved in the design and completion of the first ever platinum LEED winery in 2010 at the University of California, Davis. And he was also involved in the design of the Jess Jackson Sustainable Winery building, which he's going to tell us about. So can I introduce to you Professor Roger Bolton.